Now there's another console in this room in particular I like to point out. It's right here, the last row. This is PAO, Public Affairs Officer. We have one of those in every control room still today. Anytime you hear somebody say to you, this is Houston Mission Control, that's PAO talking to you. But the reason I like to point out this console in this room is because of these 4 cute little TV sets. You see, today, when we go home at night, we can grab our remote and channel surf through what, 100 plus channels? We didn't have that in the 60s. We only had 4 networks. You watched ABC, NBC, CBS, or public broadcasting. And if the President of the United States was talking to the nation that night, forget it. You could go out and shoot some hoops or read a good book, but if you turned on the boob tube, he was going to be on every channel for as long as he wanted to be. Times have changed. Folks, I wish I could let you experience the history that has taken place in this room. The people I have met right here in this room, right where you're at. Every President of the United States since Lyndon Johnson's been right here. The Queen of England, Prince Philip, came in. Her Majesty sat right down here in this 3rd chair. We call that the throne to this day. Ron Howard and Tom Hanks came in for a visit. Ron was shooting a movie called Apollo 13, and he wanted to shoot the movie here, but he realized he couldn't because they couldn't get the big lights and the cameras and the equipment in. So he went back to Hollywood and completely reproduced this room and this room on a sound stage. The movie was good, but we had a few problems with it. For example, during the movie, it showed the astronauts arguing. Who turned, what'd you hit that switch for? What happened? They never argued. They knew exactly what had happened. They were just working hard with the people in this room to get back to Earth alive. In regards to that mission, there's a little piece of history right over here. Right inside that picture frame. It's nothing but a mirror. It's about this big. You see, a lot of people, even today, don't realize what took place during those lunar missions. You had 2 astronauts inside the LEM, the Lunar Excursion Module. They were inside, standing up next to each other in spacesuits. Now, the reason they were standing up is because they couldn't sit down. There was no room. There wasn't even enough room when they were in their spacesuits to turn around and look at some instruments that they needed to see on the way down. So we installed a mirror where they could look in that mirror and get the readings they needed. Below the mirror, there's an inscription that reads, "This mirror flown on Aquarius Lunar Module 7 to the moon April the 11th to the 17th, 1970. Returned by a grateful Apollo 13 crew to reflect the image of those in mission control who got us back safely." Signed Jim Lovell, Jack Schweiger, and Fred Hayes. The guys walked in that door right down there with that in hand as a thank you gift. There were about 100 controllers here in the room to welcome them home, and a lot of those controllers weren't even on the Apollo 13 mission roster. They had been at home, heard what was happening, came in and slept on the floors for 3 days. You see, everybody wanted to be here to help get those guys back alive. The astronauts insisted we put that over the drinking fountain for a reason. Every time a controller would go over there to get a drink of water, they'd look up and see themselves in that mirror. Realize what part they had played in that mission and in America's exploration of space. As I said, on July the 20th, 1969, the word first heard in this room from the moon. Neil Armstrong, Houston, Tranquility Base here. And in December of 1972, as Gene Cernan and Harrison Schmitt departed the moon for the last time with Apollo 17, they also sent a message here. We have ignition, Houston. You see, folks, the very first word ever heard from another world was Houston. To this date, the last word, Houston. This is Houston, the home of the Manned Space Flight Center, the home of Mission Control. On behalf of NASA, Johnson Space Center, and Space Center Houston, I want to thank you all for coming to visit us today, especially in this beautiful weather. Enjoy the rest of your tour. Bye-bye.